The Site-19 breach incident. It was supposed to be a routine maintenance check. The chamber itself was reinforced with concrete cell, 6 meters by 6 meters, with a single observation window and a steel access door. 3 guards, 1 researcher, 1 statue. At exactly 11:25 a.m., the overhead lights flickered, then became dark, just for a second. But that second was long enough. When they came back on, Guard Alvarez was already down, neck twisted 180 degrees, eyes wide in frozen terror. The breach alarm triggered immediately. Red strobes bathed the corridor in pulses of warning light. The others screamed, weapons raised, trying to maintain eye contact with SCP-173. But panic is a predator of its own. One blinked, then the other, then silence. By the time backup arrived, the room was still. 4 bodies, and SCP-173 standing exactly where it started. Unmoved, untouched, unchanged. Containment protocols have been revised since. All personnel assigned to SCP-173 are now required to undergo weekly psychological evaluations, and the lights in Chamber 173A have been replaced with redundant triple backup system. Still, no one volunteers for that shift anymore. You've seen statues before, in parks, in museums, in cemeteries. They don't move, they don't breathe, they don't kill. But what if one did? What if the thing standing silently in the corner of the room wasn't just stone, but something watching you, waiting for you to blink? This is SCP-173, the sculpture, a statue that if you aren't watching it, it moves and then it kills. SCP-173 is classified as Euclid, not because it's misunderstood, but because it's uncontainable without constant vigilance. It was the first SCP artifact ever documented, and it set the tone for everything that followed. Standing roughly 2 meters tall, SCP-173 appears to be made of concrete and rebar, with traces of Krylon spray paint. But it's not a sculpture. It's a predator. Luckily, it can only move when it's not being observed. But the moment you blink, turn your back, or even glance away, it moves. And it moves fast. Its method of attack? Snapping the neck at the base of the skull, or strangulation. Victims rarely have time to scream. SCP-173 is housed at Site-19 in a locked container. When personnel enter the room, at least 3 people must be present. Visual contact must be maintained at all times. Before anyone blinks, they must announce it loud, because even a single blink can be fatal. The mall incident. The mall was a skeleton of its former self. Glass shattered, neon signs flickering. The air smelled of mold and rust. Eli and Marcus crept through the main atrium, flashlights cutting through the dark. Marcus whispered, "Why would the Foundation keep something here?" Eli replied, "Not keep, lose. This place was shut down after a breach." They reached the sublevel stairwell, and there it was. SCP-173. Facing the wall, still, silent. The lights flickered. Snap! It was facing them now. Eli gasped, "Don't blink. We take turns. One watches, one moves." They began a slow, synchronized retreat. One always staring, the other scanning for anything useful. Marcus kept his eyes locked on SCP-173, while Eli backed into a shattered beauty store. He found a cracked vanity mirror, yanked it from the wall, and returned. They propped it up in front of the statue. Eli whispered, "If it sees itself, maybe it'll freeze. For a moment, it paused. Then the mirror shattered with a sharp crack. Snap! Now it was closer. They shuffled backward into the arcade, switching roles, switching turns. Eli now watched. Marcus sprinted to a dusty photo booth, printed a strip of wide-eye faces and taped them to a nearby wall. SCP-173 paused. 2 seconds. 3. Snap! The photos fluttered to the floor. Marcus kept watch. Eli dragged a life-size cardboard cutout of a model from a clothing store. They positioned it in the hallway, facing SCP-173. It worked. Or so it appeared. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. And then suddenly, snap! The cutout's head was gone. SCP-173 was inches closer. They stumbled into the mall's old security office. Eyes bloodshot now, breathing ragged. Eli stared. Marcus searched. The monitors flickered. One showed SCP-173 standing just outside the door. Marcus whispered, "My eyes! I can't! I need to blink!" Eli snapped, "Don't you dare blink!" They took turns. One watching, one blinking, one searching, one hoping. But that time was running out. Their eyes were getting tired, and you could only alternate between two people for so long. But then it happened. It was Marcus's turn, and Marcus blinked. He was gone. Eli screamed, backed into a corner, flashlight trembling. He stared and stared and stared until his knees buckled. His vision blurs. Finally, a blink. Unauthorized civilian breach at Complex Mall redacted. 2 fatalities. SCP-173 recontained was heard from a radio in the distance. Surveillance footage corrupted. Incident must be classified. Incident. In redacted, a secure Foundation convoy was transporting SCP-173 to a newly constructed research facility. The goal? To study its behavior under advanced observation protocols. The route was classified. The escort, heavily armed. The precautions taken were extensive. But none of it ended up mattering. Somewhere along the remote stretch of highway, the lead vehicle lost contact. Moments later, the entire convoy vanished from Foundation tracking systems. By the time a response team arrived, the transport truck was overturned in a ditch. The containment chamber was open, and SCP-173 was gone. Within hours, the first reports began to surface. Emergency calls, mass disappearances, bodies found in homes, schools, hospitals, all with the same signature. Necks snapped, eyes wide open. The Foundation scrambled to contain the breach, but it was already too late. Over the next 48 hours, more than 10,000 civilians were confirmed dead. Entire neighborhoods were silenced. Security footage showed nothing but static. News outlets were flooded with rumors of a moving statue, but most of the footage was scrubbed before it could spread. Still, some fragments remain. A grainy video from a gas station shows a figure in the background, motionless, humanoid-looking, facing the camera. The clerk blinks. The feed goes to static. The Foundation declared it a mass psychogenic event, a hallucination triggered by a chemical spill. But we know better. There were no survivors, officially at least. But in the hand of one of the victims, a young woman, found slumped against a wall in a school gymnasium. Investigators discovered a note clenched tightly between her fingers. It read, "If you're reading this, it means the statue got me. I cannot blink or he'll move. Tell the world what happened here." The note was smeared with blood, the handwriting shaky. The final word trailed off mid-stroke. The Foundation classified the incident as Event 173-Civ-X. All records sealed, all witnesses silenced, all evidence erased. But the note remains, a whisper from the dead, a warning to the living. SCP-173 doesn't just stalk you. It doesn't just chase you. It waits for you to look away or blink. How would you try to survive an encounter with SCP-173? If you ever encounter it, stay strong and remember, don't blink.